climate change is because the changing weather patterns will affect agricultural productivity, which will not only make a lot of people unemployed, but obviously will lead to food scarcity. And in a country which deals with a forex crisis, a balance of trade crisis, importing necessary food will become very difficult for it to be distributed to a population of 234 million people at a rate that is affordable for all. So how do you see, in your experience up until now, because as Anisa mentioned, the Paris Agreement, the goal of 1.5 degrees Celsius, as optimistic as one might be, does not realistically seem achievable. So with the impending heating of the planet, and currently given that Pakistan was facing a heat wave in the beginning of the year, and then a few weeks later we saw one of the worst flash floods that we've seen in recent memory. So how do you see climate change affecting the food supply chain and the agriculture sector?
It's going to affect it. Things are changing now. And this last year with this flood, you haven't had a really good flood until 2010 and 2011. And we skated by for all these years without having this. And we didn't do anything. I think you're going to have to learn that Pakistan's Indus River basin is a floodplain. If you want to stop the water, if the melting season was only 2 weeks, you would need to build 5 Mangla dams to collect that water. If it was only 2 weeks, and the melting season is probably 2 months. So containing it is going to be difficult, and you're late in starting, even though you're working along the way. So in my opinion, you're going to have to consider this a floodplain, and areas of the world that are in floodplains plan on it. So therefore, your storage units, your DERAs, where possible, you need to get the population needs to get moved to safe areas that's going to be sustainable through that flood. Because it's going to happen again and again and again, and you're going to get, every year it's going to happen. So you're going to have to adjust to that. What was it? If you want to talk about, okay, the climate is changing, or your weather patterns are changing. So all your weather history and your planting dates and your planting schedules are amiss. And you're now working on trying to find out exactly what optimum plant dates that you need to do, and it's changing on you, and it needs more time for us to see which direction this is going to go. Is it going to stabilize? Maybe, maybe not. So we're in a flux, and we're going to have to be on our feet as we go through this and understand what to do. But there's some obvious things. Let's not stay in the floodplain. My background is in water conservation, by the use of high-efficiency irrigation systems. I've worked for the manufacturer of center pivot company since 1974, and what we do is we get more crop per drop. So compared to your surface irrigation, a center pivot will save 50% of the water, and it will apply the water efficiently on each of the square meters of the field that it's under. It can also apply fertilizers and agricultural chemicals in the right place at the right time. It's quick. So that tool is very good for being able to save water. We have all of this flood irrigation in Pakistan that is using 50% or twice as much water as it needs to grow the same crop that you're growing. So that solution is there. Now, getting Pakistan to adapt this has taken a long time. It's taken 20 years. And we are on the cusp of where actually large-scale farmers, but more importantly, corporate entities have grasped onto it. And so they have the funding to be able to go forward and bring projects. And I think that there is a target that the nation needs to look at food insecurity now. So there's entities, there's organizations that are taking that to heart, and they're planning. And there's those organizations that have the land to do it. And so we're moving on in solving the water, getting better utilization of the agricultural water that we have. But the floods really have me worried. That's something that's going to be very difficult to get under control. So I think we're going to have to live with that and plan around that and do the best. Because the farmers around the world that live in floodplains adapt. And we're going to have to do the same thing. You can't have your facilities located there. Now, if the Indus flooding is 30 miles wide, this is going to be an inconvenience for a lot of people. Where it's not quite so wide, it's going to be a lot easier. So it's going to be a challenge. But I think that we will all we will get there. It's not insurmountable.